All right, so today we're going to be talking about Umbrella Academy Season 3. It just came out a couple days ago, and I wanted to get a head start on it before anyone else did. So let's get into it. So honestly, entertainment-wise, this season was a 9 out of 10. My actual rating's a 7 out of 10, just, for logic. The show is very entertaining this season. I think mostly just because they doubled their cast. There's like, what, I think 17, 18 members now in the cast. And it's kind of, they did a better job than Eternals did with pacing, especially since they had 18 characters. I think Eternals only had like 12. I think they only had 12. So, yeah, let's get into it. So they start off where they left off in the mansion or whatever. And I guess they're facing off against the Sparrow Academy, which is a new group of students. So it's so complicated because like this is basically time travel all over again. I know it's the theme of the show is time travel, but I feel like in the third season this point is gotten a little bit how do I say it? Like drawn out a little bit. They're facing off against the Sparrow Academy, and apparently they're a new group of people who the professor or the father or whatever, I forgot the guy's name, but he raised these kids to replace the Umbrella Academy because I guess he was so repulsed by them in 1963, where when they tried to stop the world from ending, he was so repulsed by them to the point where he basically adopted 7 other kids to, be in their place. And I guess the parallel is kind of, I don't want to say daunting. It's not daunting. Like, I know how a lot of shows try to like do like the opposite team as like opposite personalities, looks, haircuts, style, everything, they try to do polar opposites. In this one, I'm actually kind of happy they didn't really do exact polar opposites of each character. They allowed each character in the Sparrow Academy to have, well, they're not all fully fleshed out, but like the important ones are like Sloan. I want to say Ben. I have my own opinion about him in a few seconds. I'm talking about him later, but Sloan is fleshed out, and I think, God, I forgot her name. Oh, Faye. That's right. The Crow lady. She's not fully fleshed out, but I would like to see her character be more whole, just because she was kind of incomplete. We know her rhythms and her chemistry with Ben goes a long way, even though they barely have any chemistry. But like, just the parallel personalities, it makes sense. She's more logical, Ben's more irrational, emotional, and reckless, so they kind of go well together. Honestly, if you just had those two as like the main villains the entire season, it wouldn't have been a problem. Like, I didn't really notice the rest of the Sparrow Academy, just because they're all kind of like pricks and stuff. I think Sloan, except for Sloan is actually pretty decent. She's a pretty cool character, and she is a good match for Luther. So, as I was saying, they start off the season with basically just, it was kind of awkward at first, which I'll let it slide just because you're meeting your multiversal double, I guess we can call it that, for the first time, so it's gonna be a little awkward. But then one of the Sparrow Academy people, I don't know her name because she didn't last that long in the season. Honestly, like I said, when you have a huge cast like this, 17, 18 people, not everyone's going to get fleshed out as much, and not everyone's going to have enough screen time to really be more than one-dimensional. And I guess there's this girl that can shoot venom from her, she has like glands in her mouth or whatever that shoots venom like a snake. And I guess she shot it at Diego, and it made Diego hallucinate into this music scene, which was actually pretty cool. It was a little corny at first because I forgot that it was a hallucination until, after the scene cuts down, you start to see that Diego's hallucinating off of the venom that she sprayed in his face. So then he kind of surprised by this, and then she kind of like said, yeah, like she knows how awesome her power is and how it makes people see what they really want to see. It's kind of weird. The hallucinations, and she does this to number 5, and then I guess he hallucinates that he sees the mannequin doll and starts trying to make out with her. I like how number 5 throughout this series has been consistent in his acting. Just the role as an old man trying to be trapped in a young boy's body. He's just the way he walks, the way he talks, and his like overall mannerism of like nihilistic thinking. It is just the consistency. He stays in character for the entire time. He never stops, even when he's making out with a doll. He's pretty consistent. So I am kind of surprised by that. honestly liked him through the season. I think this was one of his better seasons out of all three. I think I liked him better in this one than season 1 and 2, just because he's a little bit more. He still is nihilistic, but it makes more sense, and it's more. He's more down to earth, and he's not so full of himself now. He actually has reached his character arc, and he's pretty content with himself, and he's trying to go into like retirement, and he doesn't want to be around chaos. But then he goes on a mission with Lila, and then she discussed how like, oh well, you can't survive without chaos. You're in love with it. Like you like hating chaos, but you need it to survive. And then long story short, they have an episode where they go into like the commission office, and I guess it's torn down because of these time ripples. And I know the pacing with this video is not great, but fuck it, because who else is gonna really see this? But he goes and see a future version of himself, and like 100-year-old self, and I guess he's the head of the commission. Well, not the head, he's the founder of the commission. He's above the head of the commission, and he talks to himself, and he's like, don't save the world. And it's just like you can kind of see like the horror in his face when he has to confront his future self. And I mean, his future self doesn't look that great to begin with. He's in a pod on a respirator. Those iron, what's it called? When you have, I don't know if it's polio, but iron lung disease or whatever, and you're put in one of those circular. We know her abilities, we know her mannerisms, and I think her he saw himself in his future self, and he looked like a shit show. Basically, his arm was cut off. He looked extremely skinny, malnourished, very old, obviously, and basically he said to his past self that there's no hope for the future. Don't save the world. In the end, there's only oblivion. And of course, it's like the cliche of like not making sense in your last words. You don't clarify certain things, so that it makes everything more ambiguous than what it already was before you met your future self. It was kind of annoying. Lila doesn't really have hope for the future either, because now that she heard this, she was in a room with him, and it kind of makes her. It kind of gives her this like secret character arc where like she kind of stops bullshitting with Diego. Now onto her as a person, because I'm not really sure how I feel about her. This season, earlier in the season, I think episode 2 or 3, she introduces her son to Diego and says that he's the father, and then leaves him with Diego to be taken care of by him, and just wanders off. And apparently this was a test to see if he was would be a good father, if he would actually take care of the kid, or if he would leave them both. Because apparently the kid, who is actually Ash from Euphoria, he same character. What was I gonna say? He was not his actual son. Yeah, I know. It was weird because he was on the show. He was in this season for at least like almost 5 episodes, and we already got attached to him. And then he was consumed by the Google Blitz or whatever. Whew, goddamn, that big ass word. Yeah, so it turns out he wasn't his son, even though the audience kind of got attached to him. And it turns out she is pregnant. That's why she did test him. I don't know. Like, this season was kind of all over the place. I liked it. Still give it a 7 out of 10 because it was entertaining. But it didn't really make any sense, that part. Like, why would you kind of dragged it out. Like, who would do this? It was kind of a unique storyline, because you usually don't hear that. Oh, this is your fake son. I'm trying to prepare you for the real one you're about to have. That was weird. And it kind of fucks Diego up a little bit for a second, and then he gets back with Lila and says, "I'm gonna be a father to this child now." And yeah, I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. It's just the Umbrella Academy is a very complex storyline. Like, you can argue with me and say it's not complex. It's pretty fucking complex, mostly just because there's a bunch of different story themes. There's like an A plot, B plot, C, D, E, F, G, H plot. There's so many plots in this freaking show. I feel like each episode is like a different show in a way, because it shows different plots, and it's kind of hard to really focus on. Like, I binge watched this entire show, by the way. It's hard to see which plot is actually meaningful. And I guess at some point Vanya, at like episode 2, Vanya, or should I say Victor, I guess he's coming out as like trans, got a haircut, I guess, I mean, it looks good on him. It looks good on him. The haircut was a good fit. I didn't really like what Vanya had on beforehand. She was kind of like, I don't know, like a basket case outfit. I don't really know what to describe it as. It was kind of depressing. But as Victor, he has a lot more confidence. And, well, I wouldn't say a lot more confidence. I mean, I feel like in the beginning of Victor's first 3 episodes, he had a lot more confidence this season. And as the season progressed, he lost a lot of his confidence. He slowly reverted back to Vanya. I know they're two in the same person, but I don't know. There was something different about, like, his entire attitude. It was like different for like 3 episodes, and then he slowly like declines back to who he was before, thanks to Allison. And Allison is basically unraveling because this is the third time that, you know, time is effed up, and she's tired of it. She lost her daughter, she lost her husband, and now she feels like nothing really matters, and she just wants to find a way home, and she's really antsy, and she's getting like, you know, Scarlet Witch vibes. And I analyzed it. It's not the same thing as the Scarlet Witch. The Scarlet Witch was grieving Vision. She was grieving Vision, and that's why she did everything she did, and also from past trauma in her childhood. I think the way she's reacting, I hate this fucking multiversal shit is annoying to even process because it's so hard to organize these thoughts. She blames Vanya because it's basically she's a fuck Victor. God damn it, this season. I'm about to bring this 7 out of 10 rating down to like a 6 out of 10. Swear to God. So basically she blames Victor because he's the epicenter of all this chaos, and it's always him that's destroying the world, and it's always about him. And I guess she finally found a happy life with Ray, which was, I guess, her husband. And now it was ruined because, you know, Victor. Okay, here's the thing with pronouns. It's like, I'm okay with pronouns. It's just when if you're speaking in past tense, do you still say the name they say, use present tense, or do you use the past tense name? I'm just gonna say Victor throughout the entire thing, so I'm less confused. But yeah, so she blames Victor for all of it. You know, she says she hates him. That, you know, they should have left him in the basement all those years, or, you know, season 1. And, you know, the crew says, okay, that's enough, Allison, because, you know, she's getting a little too hard. I feel like this is like the most dysfunctional family ever. I think the only reason I give it a 9 out of 10 on the entertainment scale is because this show thrives off of dysfunction and drama and chaos. And when you're binge watching a show like this, you feel emotionally exhausted by the end because it just takes you on this huge roller coaster ride. Especially this season, I don't feel like Luther. I'm glad they gave Luther something to do. He got married to Sloane. I'm glad they gave him something to do this season because I feel like he kind of already peaked his character arc either last season or season 1. I think it was. Honestly, I didn't really remember him last season. I think I remember him in season 1. I think he did something else in season 2. I'm not sure. But anyways, then Klaus tries to master his powers. He looks for his father again and tries to rebuild their bond. Then he goes on a like not a murder spree, but like on a suicide spree, because I guess he's trying to master the power of dying, because apparently Diego's son killed him with a bow gun in episode 4, and then he came back to life, and now he wants to know how he can keep coming back to life on command and faster, because I guess the first time he was out for like, I think, 35 minutes. So then he tries to ask his father to help him with it, and I guess this is like a character arc for the father now, because now Klaus tells the father how he was a shitty father in a different timeline, and how he mistreated them, and he also agrees. And so basically, to play catch in traffic, he gets hit by cars a couple times. He comes back, and every time he comes back, it takes him a shorter and shorter amount of time to come back. Like, you know, when it was like 20 minutes, and then after like 10 times, it was down to like 5 minutes until he revives himself, which is kind of a broken skill because basically he's immortal. But yeah, and it's just, I'm trying to put all these pieces together from this season because there's so much shit that went on, and towards the end, it doesn't seem like a lot, but like when you have to recap the entire season, a lot did happen. Klaus went looking for his mother early on with number 5, and number 5 doesn't want anything to do with this because he's in retirement, he's trying to relax. And then Klaus was like, no, come on, we'll be a road trip, it'll be fun, we'll bond, you get to retire as retired people do, they go on road trips. And he was like, okay, F it, why not? And while they're doing this, the Google Blitz is having these shock waves. And every time a shock wave repulses and condenses, it takes away either people, dogs, or animals and disintegrate them or consumes them. And it's weird because it happens at random. But like towards the end of the show, it starts taking away buildings. And I think Faye said something about billions of lives were taken by this thing. So I guess the human race is almost like on the verge of extinction. Yeah, it gets really crazy at the end. I'm gonna have to do another video if you guys want about the ending of it, because the ending is its own fucking Rick and Morty bullshit. This show's really a lot like Rick and Morty. Like, it's very chaos incarnate. It's just a lot of shit everywhere you go. I like how they piece it together. It must have been hard for the directors. I like how they piece it together though, but it must have been like fucking hell for the writers to complete this show. I don't know if they're gonna have a 4th season. It's not confirmed by Netflix yet as the time of this recording, but hopefully they do get a 4th season to wrap everything up. And I want to talk about the CGI and the effects on the show. I know the pandemic had a huge effect on like the timing and the release of this new season, but it kind of does show with the CGI and the effects of the action scenes. For example, Marcus, number 1 of the Sparrow Squad, he does a workout on the rooftop in front of a bunch of fans. And when he gets up, it's like you can kind of see the background, like the green screen, and his body is a completely different, like the lighting is completely off. Like on the green screen, the lighting's on the left-ish, and on his body, you know, where the light's actually shining off on, it's shining towards the right. So they're like in completely opposite directions. It's just so weird and corny. Like, especially when Sloane gets stabbed with a knife and she falls down, the effects were a little bit, you know, like it looked a little awkward how she fell. You know, like I know she does a lot of gravity shit, but like that was kind of weird. She was running on a wall. The guy threw a dagger at her abdomen, I think, and she just fell. Like, she didn't like fall on a curve. She just, in mid-run, she just fell all the way down. And it was like, and like she stood still and fell down. It was just weird. It was weird. The effects were not that great. I think they were focusing on the effects of the Kugelblitz when it was finally bigger. And my advice was, instead of showing this Blitz devouring everything every 15 minutes, they should do it once per episode. That way they save money. We get the idea of how big it's getting per episode, and you save money so you can use it for the other effects, because the other effects were just not that great. Like, there were some that were extremely noticeable. I know some YouTubers, you know, pause the screen to look for any like flaws in the green screen that you wouldn't really see if you were just watching the movie consecutively. But yeah, it was just weird. Like, I was binge watching this show, and it was hard for me not to see the flaws after a while. And, ooh, my voice is getting dry, so I'm going to end the video here. Okay, so entertainment-wise, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Now that I go through the logic, I might get a 6.5 out of 10 as my actual analysis review out of, or, no, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 as my actual analysis review. I might not even edit this video. There's so much shit that I have to, like, contemplate through, comprehend, understand, debunk, because there's a lot of plot holes in this. It makes almost no real sense, and I think the main excuse is it's not a Marvel movie, it's not a DC movie, so the continuity doesn't have to exist. I know they have, like, the Umbrella Academy has comics, but it really doesn't have to follow any rules if it doesn't want to, you know? I think the powers, because the powers of each character, like Vanya, Victor, and I might talk about Harlem in another video, but like, they weren't completely fleshed out to their full potential. So it's kind of like a Scarlet Witch effect, where like, okay, this person can basically do anything. It just depends on how they do it. And I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird for me. I like the show. overall I do like it. I just think it doesn't make as much sense as we give it credit for. I think their excuses like, oh, it's the multiverse or it's the universe. And then there was something called the grandfather paradox. Like, if you go back in time, kill your grandfather, then you'll cease to exist because their grandfather didn't make your parents, which made you. And I'm kind of like, I think Marvel already debunked this. I don't know. It's just weird. I hate how people do play with the multiverse. And I think they use it as an excuse to reset everything and retcon every little thing in each episode. I think Marvel did this, DC did this, and now the Umbrella Academy is doing this, and it's like a huge trend, and it confuses people. Like, it makes for great entertainment, but like I think when it comes to logic, they don't put a lot of logic behind what they do, and it kind of confuses the audience, or at least me. Maybe I'm a dumbass. So yeah, if you can like, comment, subscribe. Please, if I missed anything, I know I missed a couple of things. I have a list. I didn't go over the entire list because this is going on for too long and I'm speaking too fast. So, yeah, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, debates, arguments, DM me, comment me. Links will be in the description down below. I might make another video of this. I might not. Who knows? But, yeah, so I'm glad to make this video. And I'll see you later. Hopefully this helped you out. So, thank you.